I'm an Australian. I was born in Australia at a little hospital called Bethlehem, which is not far from where Tara Institute is in Melbourne. And I grew up in suburban Melbourne during the war, with vague memories still of being a very little girl and some of the effects the war had on the people around me. My dad came from a family of academics and ministers of religion and mathematicians and things like that. So I used to have these talks with my father about time and what time was, and about the universe and about the nature of colour when I was still only 8 or 9 years old, and I loved these talks. I took up a new subject, psychology, because I was interested at this stage of my life in what makes things work. And of course, related to that is, what is it that makes the mind work? Why are people the way they are? Why were my parents the way they are? And from there I was able to do a master's degree, and I got a postgraduate exhibition to do a PhD. So that was my academic side, and while all this was developing, I found quite a deep connection with the FPMT tradition, the Foundation for the Preservation of Mahayana tradition, and Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa. So it was through that connection with the FPMT that I began to do more serious and regular studies of Buddhism. Became a nun about 5 years later, went back to Australia, and there was a studies program was set up at the nunnery in Queensland, so I joined that and worked my way through the study program, which for somebody like me with an academic mind was just a delight. And it confirmed what I knew about Buddhism, or sensed about Buddhism, that there was something very powerful and very strong that I hadn't been able to access before, and I certainly hadn't been able to access through the Christian tradition. My interest in psychology and Buddhism grew together. And by this stage I was working in the counselling service at Monash University as a therapist, and then later I started my own practice and worked as a psychotherapist. I found that for all the good and virtuous things I'd done through my life, here was I suffering from a substantial depression and not able to do anything very much at all. One of the things which became obvious to me during this very low phase was that what I wanted from my teacher, my guru, who's Lama Zopa Rinpoche, was that he would save me from all this suffering inside, because he had the knowledge, he had the wisdom and so on. And that would mean I would be happy thereafter. But of course it doesn't actually happen like that. We have to study our own mind. We have to understand what it is that we want. We have to use the teachings and the information from the lamas to help us to understand, but we have to investigate our own mind. And that the gurus cannot save us from anything in that sense. We can only save ourselves. And that was a very difficult, subtle process that I had to work through.